Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Run It Back, the show we try to get things right the second time. In today's episode, we're going to be going over an Alchemy draft, a premier draft with the new Alchemy cards from OTJ. And as we can see here in this Alchemy draft, we ended up going 3-3. I thought things should have gone a little bit better, but unfortunately, as with most Alchemy drafts, things just get really bomby. You have to have answers for your opponent's bombs while also being able to deploy your own bombs and really being able to manage the board state with all these powerful cards. As we dive into Pack 1, Pick 1, we can see that the rare here from the new Alchemy set is a Sapphire Collector, a 3-3 with Prowess. So when you cast your second non-creature spell, you do get a Mox Sapphire into your hand only once per game. Then, of course, the 2 and a blue target instant or sorcery in your graveyard gains Flashback, and that Flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. Taking a look at everything else in the pack, we do have a Scorching Shot and a Mystical Tether, which can be very good, but this thing is one of those bombs that can end up getting your Scorching Shots back, or your Jailbreak schemes back over time, and that should work. Notably, Spree should work with the Flashback, because Flashback is an alternate cost and Spree would be an additional cost. Imagine if you ever get confused about these sort of things, imagine if you were to flashback a Tormenting Voice, which is 1 in a red, discard a card, draw 2 cards. But it says that discarding a card is an additional cost. You still would have to discard the card if you flashback a Tormenting Voice, in the same way you still would have to pay the Spree costs if you were to flashback a Spree card. Moving on to Pack 1, Pick 2. Not a whole lot here that's super crazy. Back for More is good. Outlaw Stitcher could also be very good and plays really well with this idea of casting like 3 spells or also saving your Mox Sapphire. That's a free spell to get your Outlaw Stitcher on the battlefield. But we weren't 100% certain we were going to be in blue-red. This could also play in red-white, and then the Mox Sapphire also gets the instant or sorcery and Flashback. Same goes for black-red, right? You play this on 3, you play 2 kill spells on 4. That gets you a Mox Sapphire, and you can start flashing back those kill spells later. So we went with the Wagon Record on top of the idea that this is also, a rare new card, so we may not be able to play with it very much. Pack 1, Pick 3, we were sort of rewarded with another Wagon Wrecker. We also had a Generous Plunderer here, which, maybe could make some sense if we're going into that blue-red sacrifice and artifact sort of strategy. This plays really well with that, but the Wagon Wrecker kind of just stays on the aggro plan, and I thought that this was going to be a better choice long-term. Pack 1, Pick 4, we looked at this Impetuous Loot Monger. 2/2 First Strike is great. Discard a card to heist opponent's library. Heist, of course, means look at 3 non-land cards, select 1, exile it, and you may spend any mana cost to cast it. But then, of course, also Scorching Shots, Premier Removal Spell, Rictus Robber, Desert's Dew, Arid Archway, Hard Bristle Band, and all phenomenal cards, even the Mystical Tether down here as well. So we've got our sort of choice here amongst all the cards that we could have available to us. We chose Scorching Shot because we were in red so far, and who knows, maybe we just move into a mono red sort of strategy. Pack 1, Pick 5, we've got the Shepherd of the Clouds, Throw from the Saddle down here, and a Scalestorm Summoner. All these cards are about on the same power level for me. Very, very powerful cards, some staying power or removal spells, and so we just stuck with the red card because I wasn't too drawn to anything else. Pack 1, Pick 6. There's a Mystical Tether still here, a Rictus Robber still here as well, but I thought this Skullcrack just kind of played with the idea of playing Sapphire Collectors and Wagon Wreckers. I thought 2 mana, deal 3 to opponents, can't gain life. I thought that was very relevant, and it turned out to be as well. In one of our games that we were playing, we ended up Skullcracking somebody's 5/4 Spinewoods Paladin, and that ended up winning us the game on the very next turn. So it's, I think, is a very powerful effect in the right deck, and I think this is the deck 4 set effect. Pack 1, Pick 7, we have a Gigapede. That's probably the only card that I'm really excited about, but I also thought this Outlaw's Fury might play in the Double Menace or Ogre Mercenary sort of Sapphire Collector deck. I thought this would play well. And so even though I'm not necessarily too high on Outlaw's Fury, I thought this might be the time for it. Pack 1, Pick 8, we saw Train Erranks, a Spinewoods Paladin. This is sort of one of our moments here where we're deciding what is our splash color. I thought red-white might be a little bit more aggressive, so we decided to take the Train Erranks. I also thought Pack 1, Pick 8, Train Erranks was a bit of a signal, but Pack 1, Pick 8, Spinewoods Paladin also a bit of a signal, so this was just sort of a preference choice between the two. Pack 1, pick 9, we saw an Abraded Bluffs. I thought this was great to help splash that Airings as well as whatever white cards we could look at. Quick Draw, we're not really missing out on. Shackle Slinger looks pretty good as well, but we went with the Abraded Bluffs. Pack 1, pick 10. Looking back on it, I probably should have taken this desert as well. I didn't think we were going to play it as just a colorless desert, but it does work in either red, white, or red, black. And this Lackey, I think, ended up getting cut just because we had too many cards in our deck. Pack 1, pick 11. Looking at the Nurturing Pixie, I thought played really well. Just as a 2/2 flyer, we have lots of things that can get picked up easily, so 2/2 flyer looks good. Pack 1, pick 12. Really taking a look between the Take for a Ride and the Arid Archway here. The Arid Archway not playing particularly strongly because we don't have that many colorless considerations, and also coming into play tap and removing something from the battlefield like picking up another land. It just it's a little slow, and I didn't think it was something we needed. This Take for a Ride could end up winning a game by active treasoning an opponent's creature when they have just enough blockers. Pack 1, pick 13, we were looking at a Vengeful Townsfolk, Stagecoach Sentry. I thought the Sentry was going to be fine to sort of go over the top. Maybe that means we remove the Outlaw's Fury or the Take for a Ride in replacement of this, but Stagecoach Fury looks great, particularly in red-white when you might have some flyers or a go-white Outlaw strategy. Pack 1, pick 14, I thought Trick Shot is a good card, but definitely a little bit expensive for this deck. 5 mana to remove something doesn't feel very good, so we picked up this Highway Robbery to make sure that we didn't flood as much. And, of course, ended up with a Swamp. Moving on to Pack 2, pick 1. There's obviously this very powerful Vona de Yedo, the Anifex, which is a very, very powerful card. It does cost double black and a white, so I didn't think it was something we'd be able to go into. And this Aven Interrupter being on double white also seemed a little bit much for me, so I was hesitant to go down this road, particularly when we had things like this Resilient Roadrunner, a premier 2-drop in red. Let's just go ahead and jam that. Notably, we see another Outlaw Stitcher, so if we went down that road, we would have 2 now. Pack 2, pick 2. Lotus Ring was definitely on the table. Scalestorm Summoner was definitely on the table. A couple of good commons we were hoping to wield. Even a Mystical Tether plays well here, but we wanted to play with the new card, the Switchgrass Grazer. Haste, when it attacks, deal 1 to any target, and if it was saddled, that creature perpetually gains this can't block, and damage isn't removed from this creature during cleanup steps. It's incredible. This card won me the 2 games that our Skullcrack did not win us. This card was incredible. 4/4 haste and ping is awesome. Pack 2, pick 3, we were debating between a Scorching Shot and Explosive Derailment. Really nothing else was that exciting. We could have looked at a Thunder Lasso, but just a Scorching Shot is great. We're pretty much in mono red here at the moment, so Scorching Shot's mana cost not a problem. Pack 2, pick 4, Terminal Agony is a great removal spell. Harbristle Bandit is very good, as well as Beastbond Outcast, but we just kind of stuck with the red cards, picked the Prickly Pear, and just kind of filled out our curve. Great card to curve into both our Stagecoach Sentry and the Switchgrass Grazer. Pack 2, pick 5. This is one of the cards, I don't know if I wish I had back, but it was a little disappointing. It's pick 5. We have things like a Lively Dirge. We can get back our Grazers or 2/2-drops, like both of the Wagon Wreckers. That's definitely something. Unfortunate Accident being around is definitely good. Sterling Keykeeper is fine, but we were pretty okay on 2-drops because of the Wagon Wreckers. So we grabbed the Thunder Salvo, and it's fine, but maybe we wanted some of these other cards. Even the green cards look good as well. Pack 2, pick 6. Rakish Crew and Treasure Dredger still around. Rooftop Assassin is still good. Bucolic Ranch goes in most decks. I don't know if it's this one. But the Irascible Wolverine just plays, right? Like, it just is a 3-drop that can draw another card, and I think it just is a good curve filler. So we picked up the Wolverine here. Pack 2, pick 7. Not a red card in sight, so we really had to start to look at what we were doing. Ariet's Lullaby didn't really fit the deck very well. I didn't really want to go into a second Stagecoach Sentry, and Miriam, although worth the splash, we only had the singular mount, maybe the second one with the Trained Airings, and really no fixing for this thing. So we decided to go with the Aloe Alchemist and speculate on the idea that maybe we shouldn't be red-white, but instead we should be red-green, with this being a very powerful card in pick 7 still around. Pack 2, pick 8, seeing a Shepherd of the Cloud still around was very, very good. But we also have found an explosive derailment, and with the idea of speculating on potentially being red-green, I didn't want to waffle back and forth with going red or white explosive derailment, a perfectly fine card, so we picked that one up instead. Pack 2, pick 9, not a whole lot here for us. We could decide if we want to stay in white with a Holy Cow. The Discerning Peddler was also fine. I thought these were pretty much on par with each other. This one obviously being a little bit more powerful, but also a little bit more expensive, so we just decided to stick with the Discerning Peddler and move on from there. Pack 2, pick 10. We saw 3 red cards still around and this Mystical Tether here. Now, this also could have been a sign, but I really like the idea of the Scalestorm Summoner into the Switchgrass Grazer. I mean, that just seemed really good. Sapphire Collector also plays well with the Scalestorm Summoner. Any non-creature spell gives this prowess, so therefore it's a 4/4, and that just means that your Summoner is going to be bringing out 3 3s. Pack 2, pick 11, we were given a second Explosive Derailment, and now, frankly, here we're on mono red, in my opinion. I don't think we really need to be splashing anything. We've got lots of good colors, a lot of good removal spells. Pack 2, pick 12, we've got a Terminal Agony, just sort of in case we open a black bomb and want to splash black. A Gold Pan I thought was going to be available for splashing as well, and in case anything works well with the artifact synergies in the set, and a Reach for the Sky, followed by a Stagecoach Sentry. Pack 3, pick 1. We open up a Railway Brawler. We also have this Cathartic Operation, which I don't think is something that we're going to be able to do. But then Mobile Homestead and Ride Down are also on the table if we wanted to stay in mono red or red white. At the end of the day, we picked the Railway Brawler just because it's a easily plottable card. You plot this for 4 mana, and then you get to cast the following turn, especially because if we pick up a Coyote, which plays really well in here, that turns into a 4/4, which also allows this to swing in for 6, and I thought that was a pretty incredible pickup. And in general, this is just a powerful card that wins games on its own. Pack 3, pick 2, we're looking between a Great Train Heist and an Outcaster Greenblade, but there's also a Derailment and a Hard-Bristled Bandit in the pack. Even a Mystical Tether if we wanted to go back to white, but I thought this Outcaster Greenblade, just as it's the best uncommon at rates, you can end up picking up a couple extra deserts and playing that for a 3-mana 3/4 that draws you a land is really, really good. Great Train Heist, although phenomenal, I don't know if necessarily we have a lot of removal spells, so I don't know how many creatures we're going to end up having to be doubling out. Our plan right now is to end up playing a couple Menace creatures, a couple Haste creatures, making it very difficult for our opponents to block, and then swinging in with the Fat. Pack 3, pick 3. We saw a Sapphire Collector still around. We already have one, so playing 2 Prowess creatures looks really good. But there's also a Longhorn Sharpshooter, and although maybe in hindsight I might take this Sharpshooter, I think taking the Sapphire Collector is perfectly fine on the first time around, just playing with the card. If you have one, the second one works great. You get 2 Moxes. That means your target instant or sorcery spell essentially costs you 1 land. And just all over plays well together. Pack 3, pick 4, we did get the Cunning Coyote, which I thought was an excellent pickup. It plays well with the Sapphire Collectors, though the Wagon Wreckers. It plays well with the Stagecoach Sentries if we were playing them, but more likely going to be the Railway Brawler or the Outcaster Greenblades. Those all play extremely well. Pack 3, pick 5, we were looking at a Jolene. I wasn't sure how heavy the splash we wanted. In hindsight, maybe I do want this Jolene because we ended up going in the green-red strategy. Resilient Roadrunner is again a premium 2-drop, which could take out the Discerning Peddler that's currently in our deck. We also could look at Conduit Pylons as a way to splash some of our green cards or maybe other cards, while also still being a desert for the Green Blade. Pack 3, pick 6, I was pretty disappointed with most of this. I wasn't really interested in playing a Giant Beaver or a Patient Naturalist, even though we were pretty much in green at this point. Notably, also Train Arynx is around, but I think the white ship had kind of sailed at that point, and I wasn't going to play Naya, so the green power of the Green Blade plus the Railway Brawler and the Aloe Alchemist, these 3 cards are better to me, in my opinion, than having like a Train Arynx and a couple Stagecoach Sentries. Even that means we get a second Arynx. So we grabbed our 40 gems here. Wasn't too thrilled with the pick, but not a whole lot here for us. Pack 3, pick 7. Lila definitely might be worth a splash. A third Train Arynx means that maybe we should have been in red-white, but we ended up sticking with the Bristling Backwoods, a desert for our Green Blade, as well as some fixing here to work wonders. Pack 3, pick 8, we were given a Hellspur Brute. This card is great. We had just enough because both of our Wagon Wreckers and both of our Sapphire Collectors, all 4 of those Alchemy cards are all mercenaries, on top of Prickly Pear and amongst a couple of other things as well. I think even the Outcaster Greenblade here is a mercenary to play. Pack 3, pick 9, we picked up a Hard-Bristled Bandit. I wasn't sure if we were going to play it. This sort of thing is more of a green base deck, but I thought it was the best card on rate, so we picked it up. Pack 3, pick 10. I think this is our third explosive derailment. Yeah, it is. And so that's a little unfortunate because I think we took some explosive derailments earlier in the packs over some other cards, and we could have had those cards while still picking up one or two. I don't think we played this third one. I think we only played two in the deck. Gila Courser in pack 3, pick 11. Also, this one did not make the deck, but it was a consideration if we were going to go mono green, or excuse me, mono red, cutting the green entirely. So that was something to consider as we move forward. Pack 3, pick 12, a second Outlaw's Fury. This is fine here. Pack 3, pick 13, a Discerning Peddler, which we're not going to play, a Bridled Bighorn, and rounding out with a Mine Raider. So as we take a look at the deck, we have a total of 5 green sources for 3 green cards. Obviously, all of them very powerful. We have only 2 deserts for the green blades, so a lot of the times this is a 2-3, sometimes a 3-4. I kind of wish it could have been more, but that is just sort of what it was. If I were to cut these 3 cards, I'd be bringing in something probably like Take for a Ride, Gila Courser, and then maybe like a Highway Robbery per se, maybe the Gold Pan, something like that. To make a mono red deck, and I'm not sure if this is necessarily better. These are 3 pretty filler cards, whereas these 3 cards are very powerful in their own right, and the Green Blade really helps out with the Brawler. So if I already have, let's say the Bristling Backwoods and 2 Mountains to cast this thing, I don't really mind getting a Forest. I also don't mind getting a Braided Bluffs, because we already have 3 red sources for things like Grazer, amongst other things, the Sapphire Collector, and so having the ability to cast this for 5 mana plays really well. And in general, something that I wanted to do. I was pretty disappointed with a 3-3 on this one, but unfortunately we ended up facing off some opponents with 2 Switchgrass Grazers. We also played somebody else who had a pretty disgusting heist deck where they took a lot of our cards with the 1/4 flyer and eventually ended up casting Grenzo to kill off all of our stuff with our own kill spells, so that was pretty frustrating at times. But when the deck sort of got humming and had its 2 drops on 2, its 3 drops on 3, which is sort of the point of the deck, it worked wonders. If you want to have your draft reviewed on Run It Back, feel free to send an email at runitbackmtg@gmail.com or a message to me in the Discord with 17 Lands data. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.